Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're here with another game show.
Yes.
Or so I've been told.
Yes. We are doing a game show based off of the anime trope that every single anime has like a random episode in the middle of the season, of at least one season, where they go to the beach. Nothing happens for a plot line. It's just basically apparently there was a Japanese actress who once did a scene in which they went to the beach and like the ratings went up so much that it became a trope throughout there. And two, amazingly, they write the animated versions quicker than the comes out, every week, every month story of ones that are also, in their comics. Mm-hmm. So they need fillers.
Sure.
Well, it's partially because a 30-minute episode is more content than is the 10 to 20 pages of comics that come out on a weekly basis. They come out on a weekly/monthly basis. So your animated episodes tend to outpace the content that's being created for them.
Yes.
Which is really why you should let the manga get a running start.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we'll never, ever finish One Piece. What are they on? 5 billion? But anyway, as it's starting to get warm, I will like something summary, and then I'm like, oh, the standalone beach episode.
Perfect. It's been like 20 years since I've watched anime, but I do know that even in You Only Live Twice, James Bond still gets the Japanese spy girls to the beach. Mm-hmm. You just have to.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a beach episode where we're going to the beach with various saints.
Woohoo!
And they will do traditional beach episode activities.
As opposed to what they normally do at the beach, which is get thrown into a body of water in some kind of sack, possibly with a beast.
Yes.
If we had a bigger production budget, this is where we would throw in the song that kind of has like beach blanket bingo kind of vibes, but is all about beach party with the saints.
Mm-hmm.
If we could, if we could afford some Dig Dale, some surf guitar.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a VBS sound that has
Boom.
that,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so first one, at the start of every single we're going to the beach episode, someone yells, "It's the beach," and then they do a montage of them in their swimwear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, depending on exactly what age range the anime is from, depends on what the swimwear is. So sometimes they're like literally, fully dressed, just like they're, on a yacht somewhere with, a white, linen outfit and everything. But so we're going to pick up to 4 saints who are going to be wearing the most interesting things. You can base it off of what time they lived and what actually people were at that time and not what the Victorians made up about it later. You can base it off of, the fact that you're in heaven, and so therefore the answer could be they are wearing nothing and they are sunbathing because the skin cancer is an issue. They're already dead and everyone is perfected, so no one is thinking inappropriate things about their nudity. Next one, a activity that seems to happen a lot in these animes is people are smashing watermelons. Not just eating watermelons, the smashing is an important part. And I figured we've got a few saints that would enjoy that, so we got another up to 4 people who are smashing watermelons. So then you get like 2 sets that are working on, a watermelon each type thing.
Well, I know that Gallagher had fake Gallaghers who also toured the country at the same time as him. Mm. But not saints.
So no. 2 pairs? Up to 2 pairs?
Up to 2 pairs. You could be like, actually, I just have 4 individual ones that are each going to smash one. But I quite often in the scene, there's a couple of people working on it. So. Next, they always play beach volleyball, which I found out apparently contains 6 people per side. So you can get up to 12. You could be like, we're not really playing real beach volleyball because like occasionally you're like, you got 6 people total. So you're like 3 to 3. But, a full team would be 2 teams of 6.
Top Gun taught me that it's played with teams of 2.
Mm-hmm. And they do really close-ups when they spike. Then, as we mentioned, with the guys not even knowing that the summer beach thing was, based off of the anime conventions, we're going to be playing in the sand. They're building a castle. They're covering someone with sand, etc. And that's going to be another up to 4 people because, we got a few big ones. And last, at the end of the night, they have to have a bonfire. Mm-hmm. People are going to be making the bonfire. People might be roasting, food over the bonfire. There might be one guy with a guitar.
Has to be one guy with a guitar.
He's playing the equivalent of Wonderwall. All right, so that is it. We're going to have what they're wearing for 4 people. 4 people smashing watermelons. Up to 12 people playing volleyball, up to 4 people playing in the sand, and up to 6 people who are at the bonfire at the end of the night.
What was the max for the swimsuit?
I went with 4.
Okay. In that case, somebody's got to go.
You can be like, I found too many good swimsuits.
It really kind of is the issue. No, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do one more. Can't stop me.
She's the host. I think she could disqualify you.
For this game.
Go for it.
And we're back. So, hot set again.
Hot set!
All right, after editing out many, many minutes of stuff because I gave people a lot of Saint choices.
No, there's a lot of moving parts.
There is. It's a bottle episode, but still, it's a full episode. All right, we're doing our Saints Beach episode, starting with swimwear. And I believe last time I started with Nate, so I will start with Mike this time as we go across. Who has the most interesting thing they're wearing, most exotic thing, fancy, whatever?
The theme that links all of my Saints is that they're wearing nothing.
Interesting.
Okay.
The Lord appears on the lake shore when the apostles have gone up to Galilee and gone back to fishing. St. Peter, it says he was lightly clad, jumps in the water, and swims to shore. There is a young man in St. Mark's Gospel who is dressed only in a linen garment. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, when everyone is running, the linen garment is seized, and the young man runs away naked. It is thought that that was St. Mark himself, and that's why he describes himself that way. St. Mary of Egypt, who, when she was encountered by St. I think is Zosimus, and her story was told, was naked, although tastefully covered up by her hair.
Yes, it is one of the weird saint stories of when she was leaving a life of sin. She was wearing more than, in her saintly life.
Yep. And St. Francis of Assisi, who took off all of his clothes, returned them to his father, and said, I have no father now but God. So, because people are all perfected, there is no shame in their nakedness. The garden has been reversed. That's who I got. St. Peter, St. Mark, St. Mary of Egypt, and St. Francis of Assisi, none of whom are wearing a stitch.
All right. I went in a completely different direction and picked people I thought would be wearing interesting clothing. Mm-hmm. Starting out with St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, because she designed the sari habits that her sisters wear based off of what was essentially the remnants. So I'm imagining she's doing some sort of Project Runway, just a combination of what is there at the beach put together into a nice, tasteful swimsuit.
Nice.
Luckily, she's, again, 4'0", so, she won't need as much material as some of the taller saints.
She's tiny. Doesn't take much to cover her.
Next, I have St. Bridget of Sweden, whose order had really neat metal crowns that they wore. So she's added elements that shouldn't work for beachwear, but somehow it does because they're in heaven.
Yep.
And then St. Helena, because as an empress, she should, know some fashion. And last, I'm going to go with St. Lydia, who, of course, is wearing purple because that was her thing. She made purple.
She sold purple. She had all the purple.
All right. So for the swimsuit competition, we were supposed to have 4.
Up to 4.
Up to 4. So I've got St. Francis, like Mike had, who is wearing nothing because he has no father but God, and because everybody here is perfected, it doesn't matter that he's wearing nothing. Everybody's like, it's very fun. It's fine. It's totally normal.
Plus, you don't go swimming in your like scratchy actual Franciscan habit.
No.
Not the namby-pamby habits they wear now. The old-fashioned habit.
Now, I should say, I did have a theme here for this one, which is that I was really going for the traditional like anime beach scene.
Yeah.
Where like everybody has like a different kind of a bathing suit, but the very kind of a bathing suit is just so them. So St. Francis, so him, he's wearing nothing at the beach. He's wearing nothing but a whole lot of sunscreen, not because he needs it, but because, well, you know, it's just a good idea. St. Lawrence, given that he's the funny guy, he's going to be wearing a Speedo. Because that's just the kind of cut up he is.
I'm now waiting for the next one to be one of the many Italian popes that became a saint who is also wearing a Speedo because they're Italians. That's what everyone wears. You could be a 300-pound, happy fat guy. You're wearing a Speedo.
They think that's normal.
Next one, number 3, is St. Peter, which I went with essentially the same reason Mike did. However, I figured if he's very lightly clad while he's fishing and he just then jumps into the water, odds are what he jumped into the water wearing is effectively a loincloth. A loincloth or like some other like tied together diaper looking kind of a thing. Because that's just, you're working out on the boat. Everything you're wearing is going to get wet. You might as well wear as little as possible.
And if you fish at night, you don't have to worry about the sun.
No.
So number 4, I went with I think it's Regency, the after 1900, or was that Edwardian?
Regency
Regency is the 1820
Okay.
1810 to 1820.
So I'm 100 years off in the
Yeah.
naming, but I'm going with like the pre like 1940s. This is St. Catherine wearing like the ladies' swimwear, where like you'd see it in like the old movie reels where they go to the beach fully dressed and then they go into the little tent and they put on this bathing suit that is basically a dress that they don't mind wearing in the water, kind of a thing. But she's very prim and proper, and so St. Catherine of Siena is wearing the very prim and proper, shows as little skin as possible, but definitely fits her oeuvre kind of bathing suit. And then for number 5, because I decided I'm not going to follow the rules here, because
he's a wild man.
If I'm going to do this, I've got to have one more, which is Saint Therese wearing the flowery one piece that would look equally good on like somebody who is like on like a young lady who's like 8 years old as it would on like a young lady who's like 22. It's that one piece, it's all flowers, and it's all fun, and it's just them.
I'm imagining it's got that little skirt that's like this much. It's
Yeah,
not a real
the little
skirt.
like frilly, the little like the skirt that's just a frill that goes around the waist. And
All right.
It's adorable.
Yep.
It's adorable.
All right, well, after your blatant disregard to the non-rules of this game, I'm going to still let you go first for who's breaking a watermelon open.
All right, I went with teams.
Okay.
So in team A, there is Saint Therese and Saint Francis, because they just seem kind of. I feel that those two would get along really well because they just strike me as being really fun-loving and just
You think Francis was fun-loving?
He spoke to birds.
Captain Penance?
Look, I imagine that when he was having downtime, if such a thing existed, he could let loose a little bit. Let go. This is a guy who preached to birds because nobody was going to come around. I have to preach, so I'm going to preach to you guys because nobody else is coming around.
Sure. Fair.
I imagine that while he saw the seriousness of continuing to preach regardless of who was there to hear him, he at the same time probably found the humor of a man preaching to the wildlife.
All right.
Team 2, or B, I think I went with A the first time. Team B is St. Peter and St. Catherine. Because I feel like their minds would probably... I just get like this vibe that they would vibe together really well.
All right. I'll let you go second.
All right. So, I also have people working in teams of 2. First team, St. Thomas Aquinas. Every time he swings the hammer, he says, "That'll settle the Manichees!" And he's working with his mentor, St. Albertus Magnus, who knows precisely how to smash a hammer because he was a super genius who knew everything. He was known as Albert the Great in his own lifetime. And then, second team, St. Hilary of Poitiers, who was known as the Hammer of the Aryans. Now he's the Hammer of the Watermelons. And he's partnered with the Axeman himself, St. Boniface. You can swing an axe to take down Thor's tree. You can swing a hammer to smash a watermelon.
If you can swing an axe, you can smash a watermelon.
Boom.
Mm-hmm. All right. I changed my answer slightly, given how we're now, not following the rules. So, Team 1...
There's no laws in this place. It's Thunderdome.
Team 1 is St. Thomas Aquinas because he likes food. And as we learned in...
That'll settle the Manichees!
As we learned in previous, things, we have now, I don't know if shipping is the right word, but he's now best friends with St. Jerome in heaven, so he shows up. Be like, can I use the watermelon as ink? I really need to write, this whole book in Latin now. And then I put St. Francis doing the watermelon things because everyone's constantly, making him sound like some, wuss who's just wandering around being all peaceful and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then, because you added one, I decided that he's going to team up with St. Kevin, because he's a beastmaster, so they're both talking about their, random discussions they've had with birds and fish and the wildlife.
Oh yeah, I tamed a wolf!
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then, my other one, that was going to be a team of their own, is Mary, and she can crush the head of the serpent with her head.
Boom!
She can smash a watermelon with her head.
Mm-hmm. with her feet. But
yeah, with her foot, sorry.
It's like she's baking grapes.
Yes,
baking wine.
She crushed the head of the serpent. So
Love it.
She's like, I'm usually on a round thing when I'm crushing the snake, so yep.
Love it.
Right, so now it's your turn to go first.
And I have the volleyball game first. So I picked one of our favorite, you would expect him to enjoy playing a aggressive sport things of St. Moses to start with. Mm-hmm. Then I figured it's the anime one. We have to have Blessed Justo show up. He's the samurai.
Yep.
At which point I'm like, and you know what? I bet St. Peter shows up thinking that, John's going to be here and I'm going to beat him for once. We could write it in a thing.
He may be faster than me, but I'm better than him at volleyball.
Yes. However, at a fun twist, I picked for the rest of them James, Andrew, and Matthias that showed up instead. It was other disciples, just not that one. On Team 2, keeping with the theme of it's a volleyball game in a anime thing, we've got the girls' team of St. Teresa of Avila, mm-hmm. St. Catherine of Siena, mm-hmm. St. Teresa's going to bring along St. Joan, at which point St. Therese the Little Flower is going to show up too. St. Hildegard's going to show up. And then because every single one of her, heroes in the faith showed up, mm-hmm. St. Edith Stein is going to play volleyball. Perfect. She's going to use advanced, physics and science to figure out exactly how to hit the ball, but she's going to do it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And she'll write some songs about it. Because she could do everything.
Hildegard or Edith?
Hildegard.
Okay, because I'm like, Edith wrote a lot of, scientific and things, not philosophy.
But, yeah. You'd switch from science, so I thought we were back to Hildegard.
Oh.
Because Edith Stein wasn't that kind of scientist. She was a philosopher.
Yes, but, she had the time to study things. She would have done more science, but, she was stopped during her life. Mm. All right. Who's next? We'll go with you.
All right, I'm going next. Yeah. So when we were talking about team size for volleyball, Mike pointed out that Top Gun proved that it's two members to a team. However, I really feel, and you'd said we could have up to 6, but I really feel that 3 members to a team for beach volleyball is just right, because you've got the person in the back who's serving, mm-hmm. and then but because you've got small enough number of players, they can move to wherever they need to be. Mm-hmm. So they're it's more of a fluid team kind of a thing. So for Team A, and these are in no particular order, St. Francis, St. Lawrence, and St. Therese. Mm-hmm. We'll call them the happy-go-lucky team. Team happy-go-lucky. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then on Team B, I've got St. Pete and St. Catherine, and the one person who hasn't done anything yet because he found that the swimwear and the watermelons were just too ridiculous. Mm-hmm. St. Jerome. Mm-hmm. He definitely want to come out to the beach, but this is team taking care of business, we'll say.
Mm-hmm. TCB.
Because they're less happy-go-lucky. They're more focused on getting the job done.
Mm-hmm. I imagine Jerome shows up late in the episode because he's like, oh, that was today? I really need a calendar.
No. He did show up late, but it was mostly because he was in the middle of, he's got to pack everything. Mm-hmm. 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 And then, just before he leaves, he's got to unpack and repack everything to make sure he didn't leave anything out.
Mm-hmm. You got to be thorough.
Mm-hmm. All right, volleyball.
I, true to the Top Gun beach volleyball model, have 2 teams of 2.
Okay.
They are each co-ed.
All right.
The Hawaiians versus the Italians. Representing Hawaii, you've got St. Damien of Molokai and St. Marianne Cope.
Okay.
Representing the Italians, I picked the most athletic people I could find. St. Pier Giorgio Frassati, who could climb mountains while smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
And Blessed Chiara Luce Badano, who was an avid tennis player.
All right.
The Hawaiians versus the Italians.
All right, so we went 1, 2,
We've done
3.
3, so each one of us has to go first.
1, 2. We did 2, 3, 1.
I think it's back to Mike first starting of who is playing in the sand.
It's all very complicated.
Yes.
All right. I've got St. Philip Neri. Because if I think of any saint who's playing, it's St. Philip, who is known as the second apostle of Rome and the great comedian. So he's just making all kinds of funny little structures in the sand and telling jokes. Why? Because he loved his jokes. Next, St. Teresa of Avila, who's building a sand representation of the interior castle. Next, St. Thomas Becket, who's making a sand Westminster Cathedral where he was murdered. And then St. Paul Miki, because we're doing a category based on anime, so I figured I should throw in at least one Japanese saint.
All right. I'll just flip around. My sand cancelers, I figured a couple of the younger saints would be like, let's go play in the sand. Mm-hmm. So I put St. Carlo here. It's not as good as, playing on his Game Boy, but it's something. And then, just because, I'm like, young saints, and I didn't want, one of the, most popular ones you always do, thinking they would show up. Mm-hmm. I went with St. Agnes.
Ooh, nice.
Throw back to, I think, January when we did her story. And then they need a couple adults that their job is just to lay there as they cover them with sand. Of course.
Sure.
So I went with Lazarus because he's like, well, I've already been buried once before. And St. Paul, who's like, I'm very happy I'm not on the sand because I was shipwrecked for once.
I was stoned to death once. This is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
love it.
So I kind of went. I don't know. So I basically went with like 2 teams again, but they're not really. But it's not a team. It's not necessarily a team playing.
Sure.
For playing in the sand, first I have St. Jerome.
Yeah.
He was enjoying some time in the shade of an umbrella, reading a book, fell asleep. Mm-hmm. And so St. Therese came over and began burying him in the sand and is sculpting the sand to make him look like a mermaid.
Please say her dog that, clearly was probably also a saint because everyone else in the house is helping, just digging.
Of course. Of course. And then for a little more serious sand play, I've got St. Peter and St. Catherine, who are building a replica St. Peter's Basilica.
Nice.
In the sand, out of sand.
Mm-hmm.
Peter's like, I'm buried here, and she's like, good, that's where you belong, in Rome.
Yeah, you remember the time you tried to leave and Jesus shamed you? Yeah. Get back to Rome, Pope.
All right.
But there's no beach in Rome.
And the last is the bonfire they're having at the end of the night.
And I guess I'm going first for that one?
Sure.
So this, actually, for me, was the defining event of the entire game. I actually worked backwards from here.
It's true that he said he was doing that.
Because it is your beach episode is a bottle episode. You're cutting your expenses by not having to factor in a whole lot of scenes or sets or things like that. You know, when you were talking about like TV shows and things, the bottle episode is taking stuff you already have and just making it work for this extra bit of story.
See, I'm not sure that's true though, because like you've got to design everyone's beachwear.
Right,
and you've got those new sets.
That's fair.
Yeah, but in the number of animes that are adventure based, like nothing happens that they need to worry about in the next episode. No one dies, no one gets hurt, no one gets married, breaks up.
This is the extra story arc that is entirely encapsulated, so that because it needs to fit in between two other pre-existing story arcs. So everything is at the end how it was at the beginning. So it's very, I
understand.
Anyways, so
in live action, bottle episode has a very different meaning.
Well, you still tend to use the same sets and just sort of carry out story on the ship, kind of a thing.
So bonfire,
but the bonfire. I looked at it and I'm like, it'd be a shame if some of the people that were involved at other points in the story weren't there for the bonfire.
You don't want to miss the bonfire.
So everybody's got to be at the bonfire. This is the close of the story arc. So therefore, everybody who's going to be at the bonfire has to be at all. Everybody who's going to be in all the other things has to be at the bonfire. So I worked with that one and came up with a stable of 6 people, and I just kept repeating them all throughout the various other events. So at my bonfire, I got St. Peter, St. Therese of Lisieux, St. Francis, St. Jerome, St. Lawrence, and St. Catherine of Siena. St. Lawrence is, of course, grilling things over the fire. I imagine St. Francis is going to be our guitar player because... Unfortunately, he's kind of the vibe you get when you think about like the conciliatory period after.
Well, and now that it's dark, like he could be singing a song to Sister Moon or whatever.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when people think of when I think of like guitar masses, I think of St. Francis for some reason.
Which is ironic because the local St. Francis around us is named after a different Francis and does not have guitars. They barely have piano going.
So I got all the same people that you've heard about in all my other things, and they're all just having a great time at the end of the day.
All right, who is in your bonfire? At your bonfire. Sorry.
Is there anybody in your bonfire?
He mentioned Lawrence, and I'm like, in.
Well, no, but based on their expertise with fire, which they acquired rather firsthand, I have St. Joan of Arc and St. Lawrence making the bonfire.
Okay.
Yeah, they know it a little too well from the inside. Then, roasting those s'mores, I've got those precocious kids, St. Jacinto Marto and her brother, St. Francisco Marto. And then providing music, St. Cecilia and Blessed Dina Bellinger, whose name in religious was St. Marie of St. Cecilia of Rome.
All right. I did a somewhat similar division. For the bonfire, he didn't show up for the volleyball because he finally gets to call down fire from heaven.
Boom!
St. John. And he is being supervised by St. Elmo, who technically St. Elmo's fire is not fire, it's an electrical thing, but
Still, electricity can cause fires.
Yep. Then, of course, St. Cecilia has to do music. As did I pick St. Afonso Ligori, because he was known as a harpsichordist and made hymns and stuff. And then, just to round it out, because what do you do at the bonfire? You sit there and you listen to the music. So we've got St. Mary of Bethany picking the best spot. Which would be opposite of whichever way the smoke's going.
She has chosen the better part.
All right, so there you have it. Saints at the beach. Go down below into the comment section and list your own choices. Remember, we have the swimsuit competition,
Smashing watermelons.
smashing the watermelons, beach volleyball, playing in the sand, and a bonfire. While you're down that way, make sure to go and hit the like button and the subscribe and the bell next to it so you get notified. And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
And
Share that love.